In this regard, another submission referred to the contention that second language study produces such desirable characteristics as greater tolerance, understanding of others, and acceptance of difference, and went on to observe that it is paradoxical that language teachers are totally convinced of the validity of such claims, and yet have very little success in convincing others. While the language teachers believe that it is all about tolerance and understanding, others believe it is all about doing grammar exercises. What is required here is a genuine attempt on the part of language teachers to think through the concepts of attitudinal development and to demonstrate that language learning can certainly be an encounter with a new thought system, and hence a powerful means of challenge to complacency in the tightness of one's own ways. The third objective relates to the role of language learning in the maintenance of ethnic languages and cultures within Australia. It was argued in submissions that a central element in Australia's policy of multiculturalism is a recognition of the value of the cultural heritages of the different groups within Australian society. Since language and culture are inextricably intertwined, the preservation of cultural heritages necessarily entails the retention of the languages associated with them. In the case of Aboriginal communities, this issue takes on a special note of urgency, since, in many instances, Aboriginal cultures and languages are on the verge of disappearing completely. The objective in this context, therefore, is not simply to assist in the maintenance of a cultural and linguistic heritage but to aid in preserving that heritage from extinction. Prominent amongst the purposes of language learning described in submissions was the fourth point, the development of the general cognitive and linguistic capacities of students. The educational outcomes at stake here were described in a number of ways. Professor M. Halliday, for example, spoke of language learning as an educational exercise of the first importance, as a development of thinking. Another submission referred to the development of a sharpened, more critical awareness of the nature and mechanism of language. Professor Klein pointed to research conducted particularly in Canada which, he states, suggests that bilinguals are superior to monolinguals in logical thought and conceptual development, verbal intelligence and divergent thinking. Finally, several submissions spoke of the role of language learning in the general development of personality. To a large extent, this objective builds upon and sums up aspects of those already covered. The possibility of direct communication with speakers of another language, for example, offers the opportunity for a broadening of personal horizons. A similar outcome may be expected from the encounter with another culture made possible through language study, where the language concerned is the child's mother tongue, either the language of a migrant group or an Aboriginal language. An additional factor emerges. In this context, it is argued, language study contributes significantly to the development of individual self-esteem, since the introduction of the language into the school encourages children of that language background to value it and appreciate it as an asset. As a result, their estimation of their family's value as well as of their own worth is likely to rise. In such a case, the language program may also aid family cohesion by facilitating the child's communication with family members of non-English speaking background. The committee believes that submissions have been correct in drawing attention to these personal development issues. Naturally, the benefits of language learning in question here are less easy to quantify than those involved in the objectives previously discussed. Nonetheless, the committee believes that, if appropriately taught, languages can play an important part in assisting young people to establish their identity and develop their individual and social personalities.